The blind stitch foot is probably a foot that anybody who has ever purchased something that was too long needs to use. And this foot has a nice ability to be able to finish off a hem with a very, very small stitch. Now I've used a contrasting thread here so that you can see the stitch, but just imagine that this is potentially the bottom of a pair of pants or the inside of a pair of pants or a skirt. And so let's look at the preparation that you need to do before you go to the machine. I have a piece of fabric here, and what I've done is I've turned it up the exact amount that I want my hem to be. And then what I've also done is I've taken and turned down about 1/4 of an inch of fabric, because what I want is to have a beautiful finished edge both on the inside and on the outside of my fabric. To do that, let's go to the machine and let me show you how this works. All of our Baby Lock machines have a couple different choices for blind hem stitching. This stitch, number 36, is for woven fabrics or fabrics that don't stretch. And if you were to be doing a blind stitch on fabrics that have Lycra in it, you would choose number 37. I'm using number 36. I'm going to snap the foot on, and then let's talk a little bit about how to position your fabric for success. So part of this has to do with the swing of the needle. So when I look over at my stitch or watch how it's formed, what you're going to notice is that my needle is going to go over to the left and take a bite into the fabric. Let's see what that looks like. So when I've actually stitched this piece, I'm stitching it like this, right? So that bite that I'm talking about is just catching the very edge of the fabric, and the majority of the stitching is going to happen on this edge that I folded underneath. To do that and get it positioned well, I need to use this little screw that's here on the top of the foot in order to be able to move this piece of plastic in or out. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to take my fabric that I have already prepared, and I'm going to fold it like this. Now I'll do it a couple times because this is where people really get to a place where they're like, do that again. So here we go. We've got our hems in place, and I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to flip it over to the opposite side, and then what I'm going to do is lift it up so that I have just that piece exposed. So here we go again. Fabric is tipped up. I'm just going to drop it back on itself and just have a little bit of the fabric exposed that I had turned under for my finished edge. That's how you begin. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fabric and put it underneath the foot, and I'm placing this folded edge against this little plastic piece. Now when I select my stitch, and I'm touching number 36 one more time, when I select the stitch, my needle is going to swing to the starting position, and this starting position is actually the farthest left position. So what you can do next is start to lower your presser foot, and if you notice that it's taking a bigger bite in your fabric, all you have to do is raise the foot, and by adjusting this screw in or out, I'm going to hold this kind of still. Notice how it's moving the flange over to the left when I rotate it away from me, and it's going to come over to the right when I rotate it towards me. The way that I like to position it is I like to lower my presser foot so that I have my needle exactly where I want it to go, which is just a tiny bite into the fabric. And then what I like to do then is I like to move my plastic piece so that it comes right up to the edge. Now everybody holds their fabric just a little bit differently, and it's only by doing a test piece of fabric first that you're going to understand how closely you push this against the edge and how much on the edge your needle's going to go. So let's start stitching. I don't know about you, but I noticed that when I first started, I heard a little bit of a thump as my needle went into the left side of my fabric, and then that sound disappeared. What that's telling me is that I'm not getting a big enough bite into the fabric, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to back away on this plastic piece so that I can scoot my fabric in a little bit farther. Now see if you can listen for that little thump. Can you hear it? That means that it's going through more layers than it was before, and definitely more layers than just right here. And that means that it sounds like it's working the way I want it to. So let's take a peek. I'm catching here, and look, I only missed it just a tiny bit up here at the top, right? So that's what I meant by I missed that sound. And when I reassessed it, it did a better job. Now when I flip this back on itself, now I'm going to be able to see that even though I had white thread, it is very invisible here because I missed it, but I picked back up again, and as I went through, it did the job just nicely. So if you were to match your thread to your fabric, this would truly be an invisible blind hem, which is exactly what the name of this foot is all about. And to find this foot, all you have to do is visit your local Baby Lock retailer.